booster ignition, and liftoff, and all systems are go.
Welcome to the Lesbo and the Bean universe. Lesbo and the Bean. LATB, LATB, where mixed martial arts and the UFC get silly. Big silly. Buckle up and move your tray tables to their upright position. And please, somebody shut that baby up. It's time for Lesbo and the Bean.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Episode 144 underway. How have you been since we last met? We had a little bit of a UFC break ahead of us, but Bellator filled its shoes. Little PFL got in there.
I never mind 2 nights of fights.
We did have a Friday, Saturday pay-per-view. First time Bellator has ever done a flagship like that, and it was on the DAZN network, right? Or pay-per-view?
The DAZN app, so I guess it's not even a pay-per-view. That model's kind of dead, and I think the DAZN app is like $9.99 a month. And from what I can tell, so far there's a lot of content on it. For the little trial run that I've had it, I think it has a lot of stuff going on. I'm kind of surprised.
If you listen to LATB, you know how we're critical here of that Fight Pass stream, and I'd say DAZN was clean streaming the whole night.
Crystal clear. I never broke it. And
Yep.
something else with the Fight Pass is usually for some reason it takes me a few times of loading it. It'll keep freezing, and then on like the 4th time it'll run smooth, hopefully. But then also with the Fight Pass, what you have to do is the early prelims, and then those are over. You'll totally forget. You're just zoning off, waiting, and it's like, oh
You're
shit,
just
I have
watching
to
a
go
promo.
to Fight Pass to the next prelims, and then even if it's on Fight Pass all night, you'll have to change it 3 times.
Yep.
It's so silly.
It's unreal.
Where on DAZN, it runs all the way through. So yeah, critical shit right off Fight Pass, and it wasn't even a UFC weekend.
So, Bellator did happen to fill our television sets with some beautiful knockouts. There was some nasty knees going around Friday and Saturday night again. Friday night we had Mitrione versus Bader headline. That is a UFC caliber fight. I had Mitrione, you had Bader, and Matt Mitrione now has a pregnant leg. His own words, but he was wrestled into a decision loss. There wasn't a time in there that Matt Mitrione was going to win that fight.
He had one good punch.
It didn't even rock Bader, though.
No, but it was one good punch. It looked very similar to Conor.
Khabib.
Yeah, it was very one-sided fight. Very one-sided wrestling match.
Before that, was there any earlier fights in the night that you could even remember the name of anyone to bring up? Because I can't, other than a knee or two, there was...
On the Friday night card, I watched the whole entire thing, and I can't remember. It was a ton of quick knockouts, a lot of interesting fights.
But at times, could you not tell how you're like, these guys want to make it to the UFC? Either of these guys. You could see that caliber of fighter at times. And I'm thinking specifically Saturday night, Baby Slice. Oh, Jesus.
Well, there's a lot of people in the UFC that if the UFC is a higher... There's some of the best, welterweights in the world, and maybe the 185er are at maybe, arguably, Bellator.
Ooh.
Rory McDonald's beat Tyron Woodley.
I don't know if Rory's come... Ugh.
Rory's beat Tyron Woodley, hasn't he?
It's true, he did.
And Gegard Mousasi versus Bobby Knuckles would be a killer fight.
That would be an awesome fight. But other than those two marquee guys, well, you got Lima at 170 as well, who's nasty.
Michael Venom Page is awesome.
But he's at 55, I think.
Yeah, I'm just going through
all
of
other
them.
people
I think they just have some of the best guys over in Bellator, and I think the UFC has some of the JV players over there too. Like, it's starting to get more and more mixed up.
Totally.
And speaking of Bellator, did you hear 50 Cent offered Khabib pretty much whatever he wants to come over there?
I did not hear that. Interesting. 50 making a big play in the MMA world. That sports drink money must be really coming in, because he's throwing a lot of cash around.
Unless the IRS is asking. In which case he does not have any sports drink money.
Well, it's all volunteer. Or it's all sponsorship. Or what is that? Where he gets it tax-free because he writes it off for donating it.
Oh, it's all donation.
Yeah, there it is. Oh, I just donated him that. It's all good. So, the other Bellator stuff, we had Chael Sonnen Saturday night cap off the weekend in fights with a fight against Fedor Emelianenko. I guess before that Saturday night, there was a fun heavyweight fight that we saw Roy Nelson get night-nighted quickly by the Russian. I don't even remember his name. And I've heard, I'll tell you if I see it again because I've heard of his name before. But
I don't know either.
The main event, Fedor Emelianenko made quick work of Chael being his son.
It's like a TV show I don't watch. I don't know all the
just enough
on it.
Yeah, right.
I don't. They're bringing me over. I only know the actors on that TV show that used to be on my soap. That's it. That's how I'm trying to get more educated in MMA, but I definitely don't know.
Oh, there's a lot of those guys that I can't keep up with as well. The UFC's grown a lot, and it keeps growing, so there's more than enough to keep me involved. A lot of fights being signed over the weekend as well. I guess we should cap off the Bellator talk. Where do they go with this tournament? Chael got knocked out.
Both of us wanted Chael to win.
Yeah.
Really wanted him to win.
I didn't bet Chael. I bet Mcgrggetting.
Yeah.
Put a little money on Fedor. But I think that now that it's Fedor and...
Bader.
By the way, the walkout for Bader on Saturday, how cool was that? It was
pretty cool.
I liked
it.
Yep.
They did the... All of them.
I thought
Fedor's was really cool. His walkout was really epic. In my opinion, I like what Bellator is doing with the walkout screen and all of that. Yep. But I think I like the walk of the fighter still better in UFC with their team behind them. The long walk. I want the long walk. It's too short in Bellator, but I do prefer the screen with the whole...
What if we hybridized it?
That's what I want. I want the Bellator screen. I want WWE Fire Pyro, and then I want the long walk of UFC boxing.
Down the middle or down still the aisle?
I think they should come in from however the ring's set up. If it's 4-sided, you never know what one of the 4 sides a fighter might come down. So there's the same chance. Yeah. Of and they have it all set up. Maybe someone would want, silver, and it would blow up out of the sides, and it'd be like a pyro air explosion, and then it would have their song. I don't know.
That sounds like live action that I would be willing to pay for.
I want a little WWE mix in, but I like the long walk out of the UFC with the fans getting to be close. I like that boxing feel to it, where the team's behind them, and I don't know why, but it's and the two people that flash in my brain when I think that, and I think Ronda Rousey and Jon Jones. That picture of Jon Jones when he's in the walkout and he's like, ah!
Oh, yeah, getting bumped.
I love that, yeah.
And then
Ronda walks in still one of the scariest walk-ins ever. Still so intimidating.
So, getting into the UFC talk, Jon Jones is official with the bout nobody wanted to see.
Speaking of Jon Jones, look at these perfect segues.
Yeah, into Gustafsson 2, the rematch is set for Las Vegas 2-3-2. Per ESPN, we found out that, everybody already knew. We were talking about this in the show prior to.
I know. I was a little hating on it. One thing that I want to say about it is I am glad Jon Jones is having kind of a warm-up fight and a fight that if he is going, one of his closer fights. So if it's going to be a warm-up fight, I think it's a perfect one to do. A guy who's only fought one more time than him in the last however many years it's been.
Truth. But don't you think that out of both of those fighters, one has made humongous strides and the other one's maybe stayed the same?
I'm sorry?
Out of the fight now compared to then, it was a cooked out Jon Jones who was limited in his work, and every fight since then.
I think Jon Jones finishes him.
Easy, right? It's such a different fight. It's such an easy fight now. Yeah, that's why we don't want to see it. That's why I'm not about that life. And I would want to see a million other fights. I said that, and I thought
a lot of other UFC fans were going to be like, yeah, but they were like, no, are you crazy? We totally want to see that.
Gustafsson, John Jones?
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I guess okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
For the belt. If it'd be a crazy day, we could end up with the Beast being a champion and Alexander Gustafsson. So, okay. I'm going.
Better days are ahead of us for sure. Other fights that were put on the books. We also have Sergio Pettis coming in from a short notice fight against Rob Font in Milwaukee. That one's set. That's actually a pretty fun one at, what is that, 125? No.
135.
135. Rob Font
And
usually fights
you know
at
what
45.
else too? Speaking of weight classes, Dylan Dennis 170.
Okay, I thought he was way lighter than that for some reason.
Big bitch.
But he's gangly. He ain't like muscular.
No, he's not gangly. He's like
Core.
he has like thick legs, and he's like he looks like he doesn't have his adult body on yet.
That's what I don't think.
Yeah.
I
He's a
agree
little
with that.
doughy. He's a little doughy.
Still got some of that baby fat, even though he's a murderer out there on the mats.
Yeah, apparently.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then, did you see Conor throw the football?
I saw a bit about it, but no.
I'm gonna play it for
Is
you.
it a good? Let's
I
see.
think we're gonna see a live reaction.
Okay, let's see. Conor McGregor at the Cowboys game throwing a football. Doesn't know what laces are. So, oh my goodness. Whoa, if I had a sister, she would throw better than that for sure. Lesbo, I know she ends up wanting to have a throwing contest with Conor. Is he left-handed?
That was Baba Booey.
That was
I think the
horrible.
Yankees should ask him to throw out a first pitch.
Wow. Not good. Not good.
That was the live reaction.
Data soccer, buddy. Come on. Jeez. That was embarrassing.
Oh, geez.
Well, good thing it's not MMA. Woo.
He gets the Dallas Cowboys hyped for their game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's why he threw like garbage.
Oh, because he was too busy blowing his wad and hyping them all up?
Yeah, like, don't you dare against my Jaguars?
Against my baby Jags?
Against my Jaguars?
Come on.
They look
Conor.
good this year.
They ain't doing so bad. They ain't doing so bad at all. At
People
all.
say the Cowboys are America's team.
That's what they say. So, other fights, though, that have been also booked. Tom Duquesnoy versus Nathaniel the Prospect Wood. That's going to be at also 232 with Jones versus Gustafsson. Both of those guys are fun up-and-comers. They got mixed. Duquesnoy's got a couple wins, one loss in there. I think Wood is coming off of a win.
I like Duquesnoy in that fight.
That's a fun one. Those are two young guys that I'm looking forward to. A nasty one we got. Nasty one coming down the line that was signed over the weekend as well. We have the Train Chukagian blonde fighter herself against Jessica, the evil, horrible eye at
That's a fight.
2-3-1. That is officially a fight in Ontario, December 8th. Ooh. Someone's getting pink
That's
eye.
not a good fight for Jessica I.
Somebody's getting pink eye. That's going to be someone who's going to fight those takedowns off well.
I just have to say it's kind of bullshit in my opinion. Like, if for Jessica I, they should give her like 2 fights. I don't know why I'm pulling for Jessica I all of a sudden, but it's just because she's one of the longevity in it, and there's so many other people in the 125 who she can beat handedly. That so many. Like, I think, in my opinion, Jessica I can beat Montana. She can beat every single person
I
in the
would
Tough
agree with
House.
that.
Every single person that came out of the Tough House, Jessica I can beat. And so why can't she have one of those fights? I feel like Chukagian and her, they should both be battling these other girls that have no names out of the Tough House. And that can be a fight like 2 fights from now. That's a decent fight for the ladies 125 division. They're the two of the bigger names in the division.
Totally.
So anyway, I just think that's a dumb fight to put them both against each other in a division where you have, like, they're 2 of the biggest names. Or build the names off of it. I don't know. Maybe they're going to dump one of them afterward.
I don't think
because
so.
they've been in the division so long, you can get any one of the girls from the Tough House to fight for half the money.
Interesting point of view. Interesting point of view. That's going to be a fun one when it comes
That's
around.
the most you're ever going to hear me stick up for Jessica I.
You got a little something in your eye there. So, another fight that we just had break as of about an hour ago, stepping in for Tukmegov against Artem Lobov, we have Michael Johnson coming in short notice in Canada, New Brunswick, on October 27th. We are going to get a chance to see the GOAT stick up for his pound-for-pound title. Artem Lobov coming against Michael Johnson.
You know what is so weird? If Artem Lobov can beat any type of fighter, it's a power-punching left-handed striker. It's a power-punching striker, southpaw.
That's who Conor is.
Who's punched him more?
Yeah.
Who's punched him more? And they always compare Michael Johnson's style to Conor's. Like,
You have a good point.
if there's a fight, Artem could win. It might be against Michael Johnson.
On short notice of somebody that has less than, what is it now, the 14th? So the 27th of this month.
And
14 days away.
Think of how it's so weird they're canceling that fight. It's so silly. They should let the Russian fight or the Dagestani guy,
right.
Khabib's, because now that fight's so huge.
I agree. If anything, you would move that fight to headline the prelims on Fight Pass.
I agree.
Or
FS1. Open the main card.
Right. And make it a profile bad blood fight. But does that mean that the Eagle himself is stepping away from the UFC? Because last I heard, the Eagle himself said, "You don't sign my buddy, you don't get me either."
Well, if they don't get him either, then he'll never be able to fight again until he finishes that last fight.
Yeah, his contractual agreement.
Is my
agreement.
guess.
Right.
I think he has one more fight left. So it's like, okay, well, I guess you're never fighting again.
Right.
And that sucks for us. For selfishly us, that we wouldn't get to see Khabib fight again. But I thought about it. It is different what Conor did. And Khabib shouldn't be in that much trouble because no one really got hurt. And other fighters have jumped out of the ring. And I think that's different than the guys who jumped inside the octagon. And the difference is Conor was actually on shift. Like if you were at your job and you were inside the octagon, then when he was off shift and what he did, like acting like a horse's ass throwing the dolly.
Interesting. Right. Like it wasn't company time.
Yeah. He wasn't on the clock.
Yep.
He wasn't like in the middle of a
Interesting. I never really thought of it that way, but that I could see how you would make claims to that and be valid.
And I don't think Khabib should get in trouble either, but I could see the other guy jumping inside the octagon and the people are like, oh, well, Conor, hit this other guy. Yeah, a guy who was getting inside the octagon that already grabbed Conor's leg.
Right.
I'm not trying to stick up for any of the guys, but Khabib, I can understand Khabib's total state of mind of doing what he's doing too, because he just got done fighting. Sometimes you can't expect.
Oh, your blood is hot. Your blood's still running hot. We heard that audio. Khabib was
should have been in
pissed.
trouble with New York, which I think he was. I think he got some kind of trouble. I don't know if it was a slap on the wrist, but we know we all went to court and all that shit went down. And I think Khabib should have to pay some kind of minimal Peasley little friggin' fine. If anyone got hurt or their toe stubbed in between, that can be a suit. They can try to sue Khabib later. Nevada needs to stop trying to play hardball at all with any of it and give Khabib his money. I think that's weird.
They still haven't paid him because officially it has been 10 days they suspended Khabib, but...
They suspended both of them, which I thought that was weird.
Really? I didn't hear Conor was suspended at all.
Yeah, I think they both got suspended.
Wow. So, other fights that have also been signed for the Milwaukee December 15th card. We have Kevin Lee versus Ali Quinta number 2. That's officially on the books. Those are 255ers that are in contention for that top 10
I love that.
slot.
I love that fight.
I do too, but I got it pretty one-sided when I think of it off the top of my head.
Who do you have it for?
Lee.
I have it for Kevin Lee as well.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna go I thought you were gonna go with the realtor himself, the number one dealer.
But I'm actually. This is what I think Kevin Lee can finish Al. I think he can submit Al. Kevin Lee has the best mix of wrestling with like a jiu-jitsu. It's really interesting. Well, no, I guess Tony Ferguson. Because Tony Ferguson had his own game. I'm just really I want to see Kevin Lee Khabib. That's just a fight that is. I want to see Khabib versus Tony Ferguson and Khabib,
Yes.
then Khabib versus Kevin Lee. Those would be my like intriguing fights.
Right.
But just because of their styles, I think both Tony Ferguson and Kevin Lee give Khabib the hardest time. And also they seem like big for their weight class as well. And so does Khabib. So I'm so interested in that.
So one that you might find even more interesting.
What do you think of it?
What do I think of Kevin Lee versus Al Iaquinta?
Do you think like Kevin Lee submission in the second?
I think the fighter who's grown more has been Kevin Lee, and he's looked better as of late. Al Iaquinta, I like his training methodology, and I think that people listening to him train and how he's doing a lot of this peripheral vision stuff is going to be something that's common in 3 or 4 years, and it's going to be all because of Al. So he's benefiting the most, but I know for a fact Al regularly has had shoulder, hands, and knee injuries, so he's already, as a young man, has already had issues with that. I just kind of feel like he's got a couple more left in him. He could put on a good show, but I still see just Kevin Lee still climbing. There's still potential for Kevin Lee.
I like that. Yeah, potentially still full of it. Yeah, I like that.
Where Al Iaquinta is still top caliber, but not gonna go too much further.
He's rounded. His plateau is kind of rounded.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's not plateauing as much. It still might have a little bit more, but it's like definitely
right.
Yeah.
And for me, it's those injuries, because the injuries he's come back from would put a lot of people down in general from any pro sport. So he's overcome a lot. But
I hope we get a press conference with that.
That would be fun. That would be a fun one. They both like to talk a lot, and I'm sure we're going to see headlines before this comes out. But one that might get you talking is Sijara Eubanks against Roxanne Modafferi. Sijara coming off of a title contender fight for the second time, getting it pulled out from under her in a row because she was going to do it the first time around on that show, and now she's fighting Roxanne. I don't know much more to say about that fight other than I can't wait to see it when it's here, but I'm not going to stay up breaking down any tape study on either of them.
No, I don't even know if it'll get there. Sanjaya Eubanks, you know.
Sanjaya. I love how you always say Sanjaya every time.
Sanjaya.
Sijara, I think,
Sijara,
but I could
sorry.
be wrong.
Sorry. I don't know. I'm just not so excited so much about that division yet. And those two girls, like all those fights tend to be like, they almost need to be 2-rounders.
Yeah, totally.
Or like 3-minute 3 rounds or something. That's horrible.
That is horrible.
But it's almost like they need to Invicta. A lot of the 125 division needs to be an Invicta.
They do 3 5-minute rounds.
I know. I don't think in there like unless the Bullet's fighting, and then you're like, oh my God, please stop this fight. Get that poor woman out of there.
So, one that actually might wet your beak a little bit more. This is actually a profile fight for that Toronto card. I'm all sorts of hyped for this one. This one just dropped a little while ago. We have Hento Moicano against Chad Money Mendez. I don't know if it's official, but it sounds like the rumblings are a bumbling, and they're saying...
I love Chad Mendez.
Against Moicano? He's been looking good as fuck at 145.
Really has.
Woo! That is all sorts of tough fight for freaking Chad Mendez. That's a great
Chad
fight.
Mendez. I'm excited to anytime he's going to be in the octagon.
Definitely. Who would you go there off the top? Who are you going to pick? I'm going to go with Moicano. I think that...
Chad. I think he can wrestle
he did look good too. He looked good on his comeback. He's already had a comeback fight, hasn't he?
I think he can wrestle him down the whole first round, wear him out.
I think Moicano has nasty little triangles because he throws them legs up quick and he's long like Ortega.
So good right now.
Yeah. He only lost to Ortega in the 3rd round after kicking his ass for 2 rounds. 3 rounds solid.
He's so long too.
He's like 5'10".
Short.
Yeah. It's a good
He has fast hands and he's used to punching up.
Yeah, and that wrestling, that American wrestling, you know how I like guys to get under, get side control, and just sit there for 3 rounds. Chad Mendez will do that all day.
Oh, that's a good fight.
That's such a good fight. Can't wait to get there. We got a bunch of fun fight cards coming up. Until then, though, I got nothing for the rest of until we meet them later on in the week. But I don't know if you have anything to leave off with.
Oh, let's see. I'm trying to look through the Lesbo and the Bean Twitter and seeing if there's any questions. What would happen if Khabib left for Bellator?
I think, as you're saying before, legally, it wouldn't happen. He would have to fight out his contract or retire, and retirement means that you can't, I believe, fight in the States, but who knows if they get all sorts of other Russian crazy stuff going on, but I'm pretty sure legally he is fairly bound right now to, again, UFC. What was actually, we just heard this over the weekend with UFC effing somebody over pretty badly, who ended up running out most of their USADA contract and then got dropped from the UFC with like a month left on his USADA term up. Who else did that just happen to over the weekend?
Oh, yeah. Oh, wait. It wasn't Eddie Wineland.
Nope.
I can picture the guy's face in my head.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm blanking either.
Yeah, 2 fighters that did happen to, though. That year, were they...
It happened to Tom Lawler. That was the
that's
first.
what I was
No,
thinking
that was
of.
the first
That's
one.
definitely
But it
what I was
happened this
thinking of.
weekend to somebody else.
Yeah, I don't remember.
It happened this weekend to somebody else where they had like, I believe 3 or 4 months left, maybe 2, and UFC just ended up dropping him. I want to say it was in the welterweight division, but damn, how jacked up is that to keep you out of competition, keep you out of fighting, and then like, oh, we don't need you anymore. So
I know, it's so shitty.
it's so shitty. Just release them immediately.
And let them go on and keep their bodies in shape and with some steroids.
Exactly. Actually, really quickly, good thing we stayed
what
on
my
here
wife
for a little
said?
bit longer. Please go ahead.
That she can't get it down with Bellator knowing that they're not clean fighting. I thought that was just interesting.
They're dirty in the UFC.
I know, but she has an idea like, oh, if they're at least
They're
tested
trying.
and trying, yeah, like
They have to be trying harder,
Yeah.
but they're still cheating. They still be cheating. But quick, good thing that we didn't completely close it out, because apparently on the scuttlebutt, rumor has it that One Championship is getting a heavy hitter with Eddie Alvarez moving to the Asian promotion.
Oh, yeah.
That's big news for the promotion. That's just, again, as you were saying earlier with Bellator, with UFC, these guys, the UFC now getting rid of so many fighters that have built up a name, that does carry on. Their credentials for their rest of the careers, they can fight in other organizations and say, I fought in the UFC once. I beat this guy once. We also had Nichols over Copeland, was it this weekend, who on PFL, who knocked somebody clear into next week?
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
It
Just
was,
the clip really fast.
yeah, those gifts ended up coming in hot for the PFL scene as well.
If I almost think this fight against Michael Johnson's easier for Artem Lobov than the fight he was at having to fight.
I would agree with that as well against the Russian fighter.
Yeah.
I would agree with that because the takedowns aren't there as
It's
much.
frightening.
It's more of a kickboxing match.
And Migos and football and selling the things. We talked about that. So I'm scrolling through. It's Conor. Don't say anything about Conor. I realize Conor has fans like certain football teams, or it's like
No.
you say something, you're like, geez, calm down. And they're saying there's a rift with Khabib. He met with Putin. We talked about that on the last show.
Oh yeah, there is
His
collusion.
dad. With the collusion, they're saying that it's kind of good because the Muslims and the Russians have a common thread now with Khabib.
Interesting. Good for them.
For politics, that's what Fedor and Khabib are all boiled down to. Like, they'll both run for politics.
Again, once you have that red panty night, you can live off of that for the rest of your life, coaching and just being, hey, now having the belt, you're good. You can coach seminars the rest of your life. I did see that fan art going up of Khabib.
Little graffiti on the side of the building doing that. What is that, a neck crank on McGregor?
Neck crank or face crank, depending on what system you want to go a part of. But it will ruin your neck regardless. People that are like, I wouldn't have tapped. Bullshit.
Benson Henderson's fight, too.
Benson Henderson won a decision and then got booed after his post-fight speech for talking about shenanigans in a promotion not his. And Big John, you could hear Big John's mic saying, don't about it. You could hear can't talk about something else, Big John. God, what is Benson Henderson doing, you freaking nincompoop? Get out of here, Benson Henderson.
He did jump right off of it too.
Yeah, Big John was like, what? I can't hear. Oh, let's talk about your fight. So,
what do you think, Amanda, the Lioness or the Cyborg?
oh, Cyborg, baby. But that is a really fun fight because, as Miesha Tate and a lot of other women have said, Amanda Nunes hits like a man. I'm pretty sure they say that about Cyborg too.
Yeah, they both train with men, both of them, right?
I can't. That's actually a premier quality ladies fight that should be profiled on a big card, which it is.
You know what? The reason that I think Chris wins that fight is she knows what it's like to lose a fight. I don't think Amanda's lost in a long time. Like, you know, and I don't think she's been hit back, like going against Miesha Tate. And I think Chris Cyborg trains harder than her UFC fights have been.
Interesting.
Like, I think Shevchenko is harder than any fight Chris Cyborg's had. I think Shevchenko's a harder fight than any fight Chris Cyborg's had yet in the UFC.
I'd like to see that. I wouldn't mind it.
I bet you probably the Bullet would take that fight. Poor Bullet, man. Her fight just keeps getting delayed. Now it's Joanna at 232.
The Bullet will do whatever she has to do whenever she has to do it, wherever.
Yeah,
you
she's
could be wherever.
I just picture her when they call her again and be like, look, your fight's on MSG.
Dana White said it himself. It's not the Bullet he has to worry about. She's the type of person that you say, when and where, I'll be there.
I picture her being like, I never cuss but shit. I am mad. Again, I wait. Again, I train. Like, I just feel like she just has to keep putting off fights. She's fought one time last year. Every other fight of hers.
Duck City is open. Another ducking season opening up all over. Juan Kraken, chosen Juan himself. Kraken has been in the UFC for 2 months now. Came and got a brutal knockout. And in the heavyweight division where we're looking for talent, no one's willing to sign the bout. I want to see the Kraken in there. And he signed multiple bouts, he said via his Twitter, but the other dotted line doesn't get signed. Would you, if you were a heavyweight, want to fight a D1 wrestler?
See, that's a whole nother crazy. Isn't that kind of like Brock Lesnar?
Hence, everyone being like, I'll wait for my shot to get in the UFC some other way.
Daniel Cormier?
But you gotta give Juan a couple other fights. You got to. You can't just put him
I'm
in
just
there.
saying those are the other
D1 wrestlers.
Oh yeah, like these amazing wrestlers.
Yeah.
Like
Heavyweight.
no one wants to fight
but
this guy.
Kraken is a dude who's 280 who has to cut and is again proportionate, as we were saying with Volkov. He's somebody who's like Ngannou. He's built like him.
Built like Ngannou and can wrestle. Danger.
Ultra dangerous.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see the chosen Juan in there.
That's a clever name.
It is. It's a good. Well, actually, that's what he goes to on the side. His actual nickname is Kraken.
I kind of like them both.
I don't like the Kraken so much.
The Kraken.
Yep.
Like the Kraken. The Kraken's kind of scary. It makes you think like you're Army and he's a wrestler. Like, you know, like a squid, like pull the boat down.
I would think Inky.
Or you sink, like, you know, it pulls the boat into the depths. All right, on that.
Into the depths.
When's our next fight? Not for a while.
Again, we have another weekend of even more limited. I don't even think there's Bellator this next weekend. We don't have fights until the 27th of October.
There'll be stuff to talk about.
There's going to be more than enough stuff to talk about. If you want us something specifically to talk about, feel free to drop us a line on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
Or at a Gmail, at lesboandthebean@gmail. And thanks for listening. We appreciate it.
Lesbo and the Bean!
Thanks for listening to LaTB. For all things Lesbo and the Bean, head over to lesboandthebean.com or follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.